Okay, we are right now live.
All right, so we start at 7 sharp, is it?
Okay, sir.
Good evening, Vikas sir.
Good evening, Dr. Gino.
A very good evening, Dr. Gino ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
So I think we have a minute more left. So before that, people who are there in the panel, they can introduce themselves. Obviously, it would be done once the audience comes.
Yes, sir. Audience has started joining.
All right. Sharp 7, I think we can begin.
Okay, sir. So let's begin today's session, for which I would like to hand over this session to Dr. Hardika ma'am and Dr. Pritesh sir. Over to you, sir. And ma'am, please proceed with your talk.
Good evening, everyone. The Indian Medical Association Medical Students Network National Council presents the third episode of a series of research podcast, Insight and Flux. Our goal is to help and motivate medical students to pursue research and learn systematically how to conduct research, write scientific papers, prepare scientific posters, and gather references. For those joining us for the first time, we welcome you all. Here is a snippet of what our series aims to provide and what you can expect from us. Please watch this short teaser. Ma'am, if you can play the teaser.
After a fruitful session of learning and understanding with Dr. Asha ma'am in the last episode, which focused on clearing many doubts that arise in the minds of medical students about reference searching, we continue today with more insightful information on current buzzing topic of ICMR STS from Dr. Vikas Thekar and Dr. Jeenu Suhail Khan. Before introducing our honorable speakers today, on the behalf of IMAMS National, I would like to express my gratitude to Department of Health Research, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for supporting us to organize this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Vikas and Dr. Jeenu, for accepting our invitation and allotting valuable time to share your knowledge on the ICMR STS, Short-Term Studentship Project. Now, to introduce our honorable speakers for the evening. Our honorable speaker and guest, Dr. Vikas Thekar, did his undergraduate medical MBBS training from Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences, Rohtak, Haryana, India, and postgraduate training in pharmacology and therapeutics from AIMS, New Delhi, India. He obtained his neurology training PhD from Postgraduate Institute of Medical Education and Research, PGIMR, New Delhi, India. Dr. Vikas Takav has to his credits more than 100 national and international papers and also authored 12 books in pharmacology and therapeutics, clinical research, basic and clinical epidemiology. His book, Clinical Neuropsychopharmacology, has been judged to be among the best books of all time on this subject by booksau30.com USA. He is in the editorial boards for many leading international journals of neurology. He regularly appears in the Good Morning Show on Delhi Doordarshan, India's national broadcaster. In recognition of his outstanding writing skills, he received the Best Medical Author Award 2018 by the Federation of Indian Publishers. His work on yoga and intimacy has received worldwide attention, where he demonstrated usefulness of yoga in treating intimacy issues for both men and women, the Kav Yoga. Dr. Vikas Takav works at the Center for Evidence for Guidelines, situated in Department of Health Research, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, as Deputy Director General, Scientist E-Medical. Before joining this post, he has worked in ICMR Jodhpur, Rajasthan, where he has supervised all 4 sero surveys that have helped decide the spread of COVID-19 infection in India. He has designed models for reducing stroke, detect dementia, and diagnose attention deficit hyperkinetic children using MRI brain. Thank you, sir. We are so glad to have you today.
Thank
Our
you
next esteemed-
so much. Thank you. Yes, please.
Our next esteemed speaker and guest for the evening, Dr. Jeenu Suhail Khan, is a distinguished scientist with a PhD in cancer genomics from King's George Medical University, where she researched the genetic association of microRNA and caspase gene polymorphisms with prostate cancer susceptibility. She also holds an MSc and BSc in biotechnology from Bundelkhand University, reflecting her strong academic background. Currently, Dr. Khan serves as a Scientist C and Program Officer at the Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, New Delhi. In this role, she coordinates and manages various research fellowship programs and grants, including short-term studentships, junior research fellowships, and postdoctoral fellowships. Her responsibilities involve the technical and scientific review of project proposals and annual reports, contributing to effective administration of these programs. With over a decade of extensive research experience, Dr. Khan has also worked on TB research at ICMR and as a senior research fellow at Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences. She has provided hands-on training to numerous students and actively participated in national and international conferences and workshops, making significant contributions to the field of cancer, genetics, and medical research in India. We welcome you, ma'am. So on the behalf of IMA MSN, I warmly welcome Dr. Vikas Takav and Dr. Jeenu Khan for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hardika, for that warm introduction.
Thank you. Now, without any further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Jeenu Khan, who will be briefing and educating us on the application process and successful submission of STS project proposal. We eagerly anticipate your insightful session, ma'am. The platform is all yours.
Thank you so much, Hardika, and thank you, Dr. Arijit and the IMA Association, and also Dr. Vikas for forwarding this invite to us. And we are more than happy to present about the STS program. I know it's a very popular program among the undergraduate medical students, and I can see the enthusiasm in the mails that they send to me. And I'm daily replying to, I don't know, I think more than 50 emails or more than 100 emails by them asking one or the other query. And so I think that this webinar and this overview about the STS program would definitely benefit all the students. And so without any further delay, I would be sharing my screen and sharing the PPT. Just let me know if it's visible to everyone. Is it visible? Is my screen visible?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So all the undergraduate medical and dental students, I think they are very aware of this very famous program of DHR ICMR, which is the short-term studentship program. And being the program officer of this program for the past 6 to 7 years, I have seen this program flourish from a very small number to a now very big number of the students who are applying, and the participation of even the medical colleges have increased to a very great extent. So I'll be presenting a brief overview about the programs, and we'll be happy to answer the questions also in the end after Dr. Vikas also presents his presentation. So moving ahead, first, I would like to give a brief overview about the organization, that is DHR and ICMR. So starting with DHR, it was created as a separate department within the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare by Government of India in the year 2007. And its main aim of creating this department was to bring the modern health technologies to the people through the various research and innovations like diagnostics, therapeutics, epidemiological interventions, and translate them into various product and processes which are useful for the people in terms of medical health research. And these innovations are also integrated into the public health system. And apart from this aim, there was one more aim of DHR, that is the human resource, the capacity building of the human resource in the field of biomedical research. And therefore, with this aim, they aim to establish a pool of talented health research personnel, and these health research personnel can be the young UG and PG medical, non-medical students, the young researchers, the young scientists, the senior faculty also in who are working in India, and they can be trained in the priority areas of the national health research in leading national and international institutions also. Coming to ICMR, so ICMR is one entity which comes under DHR, and it is one of the apex body in India for the formulation, coordination and promotion of biomedical research. And it was established as IRFA, that is Indian Research Fund Association, in the year 1911. And then later on, when its mandate just kept on, they were very, apart from the funding, many mandates in the clinical and health research were added to ICMR. So then in 1949, it was renamed as Indian Council of Medical Research, because all the clinical research and health research agendas of non-communicable diseases, communicable diseases, reproductive and maternal child health, then basic medical sciences, social behavioral sciences, all these were one by one being added, considering what was the nation's priority at that time. And so now it is known as Indian Council of Medical Research, which is funded by the Government of India through Department of Health Research, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So main vision and mission of ICMR is like translating the work, the research into action. Like what diagnostics can we bring about for many diseases? What are the therapeutics? What vaccines can come out for the diseases that are still under exploration, for improving the health of the overall Indian population? And moreover, the globally also, we have been now since COVID-19, ICMR has been recognized on a global platform also. So coming to the mission, among the all the missions listed here, like generate and manage, disseminate new knowledge, increasing focus, harnessing and encouraging the use of modern biology tools, encouraging innovations and translations. There is one objective of ICMR also, which is to strengthen the human resource development by strengthening the research personals, and these institutionals also by strengthening the research infrastructure. Now, this is just the list of the programs that DHR ICMR Human Resource Development Scheme is currently having. The programs have been revised in the year from the year 2024 itself, and in that STS also has been revised. So this is the list just to give an idea about what programs DHR and ICMR HRD works upon. And among these programs, one of the program is the short-term studentship program, which I'll be talking about in this webinar today. So let's just focus on STS. Now, STS was started in the year 1979. So you can see it's more than a 40 years old program. So I think that many of your faculties or your guides, they must have also pursued STS some time or the other, if you find out from them. So it's a very old program and initiative of ICMR, and now it has been merged with the DHR HRD schemes, and it comes under the DHR HRD component also. And the main aim of this program, that it was created back in 79, was to promote interest and research aptitude among the medical and dental undergraduates. Because as a clinician, you all are very well versed and taking care of nation's health priorities and treating them, diagnosing them, and curing them. But the research is also a very important part of now clinical and medical health research. So to promote the interest and aptitude for research among these medical and UG students, that was the main aim of STS program, and to provide them an opportunity so that they can familiarize with themselves with the basic research methodology techniques by undertaking some short-term projects. Only like it should not be a very big project like we have for a 3-year or 5-year research projects. That is a different thing. But a short-term research project where they can come to know about what is research methodology, how do we write a proposal, what is objective, what is a research hypothesis, what is a research question, how do I prepare a proposal, and how do I take what is being done into account and propose a new study altogether. So that was the main aim of this STS program. Now coming to the number of Cs, these have been now increased to 2000 students per year, and the tenure has now been extended. If many of you must be aware that STS was earlier only annual program, and that 2 to 3 months in your summer break you had to carry out. But now the mandate has been slight shifted so that you can take a much logical and a short-term good research project. So now it has been divided over a span of 3 years, and every 2 months in these 3 calendar years you can carry out your 6-month short-term project. Now the work timeline goes like in the first summer break between the first and second prof year, you can conceptualize, develop, and submit your research concept note to DHR ICMR. Now this year, because of the revision of the guidelines, there was a delay. So we had opened the call before your summer break, but still you can conceptualize and develop, and from the next year onwards it will be according to that timeline only. And in the second summer year break, now that is between the second and third prof year, you will have to start collecting your data. And before collecting your data, you have to ensure that you take proper IEC approvals if it is applicable to your study. If it is not applicable to your study, then you have to take an exemption of IEC certificate also. So it doesn't mean that if your study does not require IEC approval, you say that, oh, my study doesn't require, so I do not have to upload IEC. No, you have to upload the exemption certificate, which the same committee issues after reviewing your proposal. Okay. Then in the last third year summer break between the third and fourth prof years, there will be this analysis of data, whatever you have collected over the first and second year, the preparation and submission of your final work done report. This is the tenure, which has been now divided from 1 year to 3 years and every 2 months. Now coming to the eligibility. So there are two types of eligibility. One is the student eligibility and guide eligibility. So coming to the student eligibility, now only first and second prof year MBBS and BDS students studying in NMC and DCI recognized medical and dental colleges are only eligible to apply. Okay, so if it is not a NMC recognized college, you will not be able to apply. You will have to wait until your college gets this NMC certification recognition. And the why we have included the only first and second prof year, that is now must have been clear to many of you, considering the tenure, because the first prof year students will carry out the work from the first to third prof years, whereas the second prof students will be carrying out the work from the second to fourth prof years. So if we include third and fourth year now, so they will not be able to carry out the work in the 3-year span, and probably they will be passing their MBBS, they will be an intern, or they will be going out for some other job. So we cannot allow that. Now, because the tenure has changed, so the eligibility is strictly restricted to first and second professional years, so that they can carry out the work in the span of 3 years within their MBBS tenure. Now, students who are holding the OCI cards, PI cards, or NRIs, studying in an Indian medical college, which is NMC recognized of again, can also apply, but they will have to upload a copy of their respective certificate that has to be uploaded along with your application submission. Now, as of now, third and fourth prop year, MBBS and BDS students, intern, PG, students of paramedical, non-medical courses, or students studying in any foreign medical colleges will not be eligible to apply. But we have been receiving, once these guidelines were floated and the call was open, so we had received a request from many of the third year students uh, that they were not aware that DHR ICMR is going to change the guidelines and now we will not be eligible to appear in the STS program. So kindly please grant us this year a concession so that we can apply. So that is under consideration with the competent authority of DHR ICMR, and hopefully if it is approved, then the call for STS 2024 will be opened only for the third year students, but that will only be specifically for only this year, that is 2024. From 2025 onwards, it will be strictly first and second prop year MBBS and BDS students. So if the approval is done, the call will be notified on the DHR website, and you can keep a check on the DHR ICMR website for this notification to come out if it is approved. And most probably it is likely to happen within this June only, in this month only. So you may please keep a check. If the call opens, it will open for complete 1 month for the third year prop MBBS and BDS students. But you may keep a check. I cannot assure you on which date it will open, because that will only be after proper approvals, because that is under consideration by us. Coming to the guide eligibility, so there are many questions and emails that I receive on this guide eligibility also, that my guide is a senior resident, my guide is a tutor, my guide is a PG student, can I have? So please strictly refer to this eligibility, what is mentioned, that guide should be only a regular full-time faculty member of your college, in which college you are studying, and they should be from the same college. It is not like that you are studying in AIMS New Delhi and you can take a guide from LHMC New Delhi. No, that is not allowed. If you are in AIMS New Delhi, your guide has to be from AIMS New Delhi. The department can vary. You can take a guide from any other department. That department depends on your proposed research work. Okay, that doesn't strict you that if you are from that particular field, you have to take the guide. That depends totally upon your proposed research work. The guide should have expertise who will give you a guidance to carry out that proposed research work. And he should be a regular full-time faculty member in the college. Okay, part-time consultants, visiting faculties, residents, please, pool officers, they are not recognized to be guide for STS. And so please, many of the students, everything is written in the guidelines, but they still send us emails. So please keep this thing in mind. And coming also to the co-guide, many of the students ask that can we keep a co-guide? So please note that ICMR and DHR, they recognize only one main guide, who is your supervisor for this program. We do not recognize any co-guide. So keeping a co-guide or not keeping a co-guide is totally up to your guide and your college. If you want that, yes, I want one co-guide also, you may keep, but DHR ICMR will not recognize the co-guide. DHR ICMR recognizes only the main guide, because on the certificate, only the guide's name is being there is a provision of including the guide's name, and we recognize only the one main guide. Coming to the stipend, so again from 2024 onwards, it has been increased. Earlier it was 50,000, so now it has increased to rupees 60,000 for the 6 months of research work that you'll be carrying out in the 3-year span. And there will also be an e-certificate issued to you. And the stipend, however, will be given in 3 installments. Earlier, what was the case? Like there was a 50,000 because it was annual. The program was annual. So now 50,000 you will be getting only at the end when you submit the report. But now what is the case? That stipend will be given in the 3 installments. The first installment of 15,000 will be released at the end of the first year of work upon if your research concept note is approved by DHR ICMR. Only to those 2,000 selected students. There are 2,000 seats. So upon review of your research concept note after the deadline, which is 30th June, your concept notes will be reviewed by DHR ICMR by the concerned subject area experts, and only 2,000 students will be selected, and first installment of this rupees 50,000 will be given to those 2,000 selected students after all approval is done. The second installment again of rupees 15,000, that will be given to you at the end of your second year work done when you submit us an interim report. Now, what is an interim report? An interim report that whatever data you have collected over this first and second years, you will have to just compile that data, that whatever aspect of your study, like it was your study was to collect data by survey on some medical students on consumption of tobacco or something like that, whatever it was. So how many samples did you collect, from where did you collect the samples, how was the sample collected, what was the duration of sample collection, or what was the site, and then what is the pending data collection, you have to report that also in your interim report in case if it is not completed. And then an interim report will be asked to you upon the completion of second year. And once we get that interim report and we check that yes, you are carrying out whatever the work was proposed and approved by DHR ICMR, so the second installment of rupees 50,000 will be released at that time. And coming to the third and final installment, that is of rupees 30,000, that will be released only if your final work done report that you are going to submit to us at the end of the third year, that is approved, and we select the students that yes, your report is approved, and you will be getting this final installment of rupees 30,000. So this is the way the stipend is now being divided. And one more thing, please keep in mind that this stipend is specifically a motivation and encouragement only for the student. It is not to take care of any of the research work. It has already written in the guidelines that the guide and the college has to bear the entire expense of whatever is the STS proposed research work. This stipend is exclusively only and only for the student. Okay, because I get emails and I get these queries that ma'am, like when I am going to receive the stipend, because my study I have to purchase this, I have to purchase that. So please keep in mind that the stipend is not for purchasing anything related to your research work. Your college and your guide and your competent authority of the college has to ensure that they will bear all the expenses related to your research work. And if you are not sure that your college will not bear these expenses for your proposed research work, then please ensure with them, because we have seen cases where in the end the student says, ma'am, please release the stipend because I have to pay for this and this, and my guide is asking. So please, this is not for your proposed research work. This is your own stipend, your own fellowship, which is your own. Okay, and your expenses have to be borne by the concerned medical college wherever you are. So please make this thing very clear before submitting your application with your guide, with your college authorities, because this is clearly mentioned in the guidelines also. And apart from one or two queries or something like that, nobody asked us, but because some people have asked us, that is why I am clarifying this today. Coming to the format of STS research concept note. So this is the format which is also available on the website also, and this is just a guidance to tell you that what should be the format of your research concept note, and the words are also given just as an example for you to just ensure that okay, yes, those who be, because you all are going to write it for the very first time. Okay, so this is just a guidance that yes, introduction should be of this much words and objective should be of this much words, plus minus 100 words can go, but not beyond that, because this is basically just a research concept note, not a full-fledged detailed research proposal. A full-fledged detailed research proposal has many things which is not included in just a research concept note. Okay, because it is a short-term research project. So we'll be focusing only on this format of the research concept note, which comprises of title, introduction, objectives, methodologies, implications of your research work, and then finally references which are based on the recent review of literature. Please keep in mind that whenever you are writing your references or referring the review of literature, the review of literature is whatever articles you find which on which work has already been done, and they should be PubMed index. So always search, do not search on Google. Go to PubMed, search your topic, search your subject area or whatever you want to find out, whatever is your objective or hypothesis, search it on the PubMed. Now, when you type it on the PubMed, you will get lakhs and lakhs of articles related to that. Now, you will have to refine your view on what particular aspect you are dealing with. So, suppose you are going that like use of tobacco consumption is associated with the increase in the oral carcinoma cases. So when you type this on PubMed, you will get papers and literature specific only to this topic. If you simply type oral carcinoma, so you will get all the papers of oral carcinoma. But what is your objective? Your objective is like, does tobacco consumption associates with the increase in cases of oral carcinoma? So you have to be very specific while searching on PubMed your recent review of literature. So you will have to be specific in keywords, terms, like you can write tobacco consumption, oral carcinoma. Now, if you want to find out that whether this has been done in the Indian population, then you can add one more keyword, Indian population. If you want to find out in any population, then don't write anything. He will give you the PubMed will give you articles in every ethnicity. They can give you in Australian, Caucasian, and many other ethnicities. They will give you the data that how tobacco consumption is associated or not associated with the increase in cases of oral carcinoma. So please keep in mind that your references are very important. Don't take them lightly. You have to search the most recent review of literature on your concerned topic. Okay, suppose if there are thousands of papers now coming on this, so please pick the recent 5 years. Okay, don't go beyond 5 years. Like you are searching in 2024, please go only until 2019. Don't go beyond 2019 to quote that what was done 5 years back. You can go more and more, you can go 10 years, but not beyond that. Please don't quote a paper or a study which was done in 1990 or 2001 or 2005. No, that is something which was very late. Much of the work must have been done after that. That is what you have to search. That is how you will reframe your question, your objectives, your introduction, your methodology. Everything depends on your review of literature. So please keep in mind that first of all, search in PubMed only, then search only the recent 5 or 10 years. Don't go beyond that in quoting whatever work you have proposed. And references are basically to be given in Vancouver style. I'll just give an example of what Vancouver style is. And most of the most important note that because many of the research proposals are outrightly rejected at the administrative scrutiny only because they carry the name of the student, the guide, the college, and which we have told you not to write in the proposal. Okay, you are not supposed to write the name, contact details, email, or anything of yourself or your guide or your college, anyone. It should not be mentioned in this format of which you are submitting to us as a research concept note. Because we have introduced an unbiased blinded review mechanism in which the subject expert who will be reviewing your research concept note is not aware that this particular study is from AIIMS New Delhi, or this particular study is from AIIMS Jodhpur, or from any other medical college. We don't want them to be biased in anything, so we have introduced an unbiased review mechanism which is blinded in the sense that your research concept consists only of these things. There will be a reference ID on the top of the title, that reference ID which is generated at the time of your registration. Only reference ID you have. Your identity is that your reference ID. We are identifying you with that reference ID for the scientific review. Okay, so we don't need any name of yourself or your guide or college name. Please avoid it, because of that your research concept note and your application is rejected at the first stage only in the administrative scrutiny itself. It doesn't go ahead. So no matter you have written a very nice research concept note, but if you're not following the guidelines and adhering to the terms and conditions which DHR and ICMR have put into place for some reason, you are not going further ahead. Okay, so please adhere to whatever the guidelines and terms and conditions are regarding each and every step. It does not stick only to this preparing of form of your research concept note. It sticks to everything regarding the eligibility, regarding how is to be done, when it is to be done, in what manner the document has to be submitted. You have to keep everything in mind, and that's how you learn at every stage. Okay, so please follow this format. Now coming to just give an overview of what all these headings should include. A detailed part will be dealt by Dr. Vikas Dhikab in his presentation, but this is already available in our DHR ICMR website also, that what a title should be, how an introduction is to be written, what it should include, what are the objectives, what will be your research question or research hypothesis, methodology, what all aspects of methodology you should include in your proposal. Implications is like what are your deliverables, what are you expecting the outcome of your short term research project, what is supposedly to be gained from this proposed research work. Those are the implications of your study. And you can also write like some of your knowledge gained in this implication part, because you are now exposing to a research methodology for the very first time in your MBBS tenure. You did not know what is research prior to it, and STS gives you that window to understand what is research and what is writing a proposal or writing a paper. And I have seen many students, like my experience of the 7 years, I can say that I'm so proud that many of these medical students, they have written so well papers, like publications. And we had this STS award, in which we used to ask for the publications they have published from this STS program. And some of the publications were so fabulous, so well written. You cannot say that, matlab, while I was reviewing those articles, I cannot say that, yes, this is written by an MBBS students, because I know that you all are very naive to research methodology, and you are being exposed for the very first time during your MBBS tenure to what is research and how to write a research paper or a research proposal, and understanding this for the very first time. But some of you have excelled, so I know that it's not difficult for any of you. If one can do, then surely everyone can. So do write what is the knowledge gained by you as a student. Okay, you can write that also in the implications, that what have you gained by getting to know about this research methodology or the research aptitude, or what all challenges did you face and how did you overcome those challenges upon the guidance of your guide. So that all is also an implication that you, because see, the main aim of STS is to promote research aptitude among you. Okay, so implication should also be assessed on that matter, that whether, yes, after doing this STS study, are you able to get that research aptitude, yes or no. So that implication, some part of the study implication can have that thing also. But please focus that more of the thing is on the scientific part, and you can write about the knowledge and the experience and skills, and what type of research methodology skills you as a student has gained in this scientific advancement. Now coming to the references that I've already told you. Now, this is some example of the Vancouver style referencing. Like Vancouver style referencing is like the list of authors comes first, then comes the title of the study, then comes the journal abbreviation, and this journal, name of the journal, it should be as per the Web of Science. So if you do not know what is Web of Science, if you just type Web of Science on Google, it will just give you an overview of what is Web of Science and the standard journal abbreviation that is accepted as per the Web of Science. Okay, then comes the year in which it was published, followed by the month, And month also, initial will come, like if it is January, so you write only Jan, or you write only Feb. You do not write January, February, March. You just write the abbreviation of the month. Then coming the volume and the issue and page numbers. Okay, so this is the standard Vancouver style referencing. List of authors, title of the study, journal abbreviation, year, month, volume, issue, page number. Example is being cited below for a better understanding. Like you can see the name of the authors. They are all listed at first. Then comes the title, that is Association of Marijuana Smoking with Oropharyngeal and Oral Tongue Cancers, pooled analysis from the Enhanced Consortium. Then comes the journal name, which is Cancer Epidemiology, Biomarkers Prevention, and it is an abbreviation. You can see epidemiology is written as epidemiol, prevention is written as PREV. So you have to write only the journal, accepted journal abbreviation as per the Web of Science. So Cancer Epidemiol, Biomarkers PREV. Then comes the year, the month, the volume, and in the bracket is the issue and the page numbers. And when the Vancouver style referencing, when you have to cite in the text, so like in the text you are writing that use of tobacco consumption is associated with increase in oral carcinoma cases. Now the references that you have cited for this particular sentence, you have cited suppose 4 to 5 studies. You have taken 4 to 5 studies in different ethnicities and in different populations. So you want to cite. Now this sentence correlates with those studies. So how are you going to cite the Vancouver style referencing in the text? Like you have written the text, you can see over here. And now when you have written the text, so you just write the number. So suppose a reference number is 4, citing that study. So you write 4, then you write comma, then suppose 8 to 10 number of reference also quotes this particular sentence. So you can write 4, 8 dash 10, or you can write 4, 8, 9, 10. So this is the in-text referencing of Vancouver style. One is which will come in your references. The top one, which I've already told, this will come in your references, the last part of your research concept. And in text, when you are writing it in the introduction or you're writing in the methodology, then you have to use these numbers as a superscript at the end of the sentence with a comma. Okay. Now coming to the brief terms and conditions, though there are the terms and conditions are given in, there are many terms and conditions, but here I am listing some of the important and frequent terms of conditions on which we get queries from the students. Those are listed, only listed here. The detailed terms and conditions, you will have to visit the DHR website, and you have to refer all your, read all the entire guidelines and the entire terms and conditions which are set by the DHR ICMR for this particular program. So coming to just describe in brief, I've already told you about the co-guide thing, that even if there is a co-guide, but we do not recognize the co-guides. However, still you can, if you and your guide wants to keep a co-guide because they want the subject expertise from on a particular point or particular topic from him, like if there is statistics some involved and you want a statistic person to be a co-guide, so you can include him, but we will recognize only the main guide. Then the student should obtain approval, proper institutional ethics committee or institutional animal ethics committee approval if your work involves the use of animals or human participants. Okay, for that you can refer to the national ethical guidelines of DHR ICMR. They are also available on the DHR ICMR website and are even linked on the terms and condition page if you visit. So you just click them, read the entire guidelines. What are the ethics committee requirement? What is the composition of ethics committee? When I should take ethics approval, on what proposals work involves proposals I should take ethics approval, which work is exempted from ethics approval. So you will find everything related to ethical approvals in that ethical guidelines of DHR ICMR. So please read that. Once you read that, everything will be clear to you. And every institution has this committee. Your college or your institution might be also having, suppose if your college is not having their own institutional ethics committee and you are affiliated under some other medical research institution or an INI, so that you can take the ethics approval from that INI or medical institution. It is not necessary that like because I get emails that, ma'am, my college is a very new college and we do not have this IEC ethics committee. However, we are affiliated to so and so university and so in INI, and so they have the institute ethics committee. So can we take the approval from them? Yes, you can take. If your college is under the jurisdiction of that particular university, or it is affiliated to that particular university or INI, you can take the IEC approval from there if your college does not have their own. But usually every colleges have, and now they are also having, because many research projects are being also conducted by medical colleges. So if in case you do not have, the other option is also available for you. And also it is very important that you take the IEC approvals anytime before beginning the actual research work. Please do not start your research work if ethics committee has not given you approval. You are not supposed to, because that is not ethical. That is the first and foremost principle of doing a very good research, that it should be ethical research. If you are doing it without ethics committee approval, then it is not an ethical research. Okay, because the ethics committee, they review your project on every aspect. They tell you what is wrong, what is to be revised, oh, this is not to be done that way, or you should include this, you should collaborate with this because your study includes this subject area. So it is very important that before beginning your actual research work, that in data collection or whatever you are going to start, please apply. So now, like many of the students who've been applying for 2024 STS, so irrespective, like you will be, your research project will be approved or not approved, but you should start the process, discuss with your guide on, sir, yes, if suppose the ICMR DHR approval comes by July end, then sir, how should we proceed? Because you know, this ethics committee approval in many colleges and universities, they meet only once a year. If not frequent, there are some institutes or universities where they meet twice a year, or there are quarterly meetings also. But if there is not biannual or quarterly meetings, they meet only once a year. So if they are meeting once a year, then you have to please find out from first hand that what is the time meet that once a year, so that I can prepare my proposal and submit to them in time, so that I get my approvals in time before starting my research work. Because suppose DHR ICMR declares the result and you are selected by the end of July or first week of August. So now what? After August, you have to just proceed. So if you already have the ethics approval in hand, you can straight away start the work from July end or August. You can start your data collection work until the next year, second year, which specifically is for data collection. So you can straight away start. Your time will not be wasted. Okay, so that is how you plan. That is also a part of learning a research methodology, that how you plan the timelines of each and every study, starting from the submission to the funding agency till your submission of report. So you have to plan everything. You cannot say that, okay, abhi to ICMR DHR ne sirf proposal hi manga hai, dekh lenge baad mein. When you say dekh lenge baad mein, then the problem actually starts. Because by the time in August and September, you find out that, oh, ethics is now going to meet only in June next year. So by June next year, you have to already submit your interim report to us. So if you are not able to start the work because the ethics committee is meeting June next year, then how are you going to do? So that is why I'm saying that when you submit, think of that I am going to submit my STS research proposal to DHR ICMR. Please plan that if your study is requiring institutional ethics or animal ethics approval, then how are you going to take it? When are you going to take it? When does that committee meets? Please find out this also. This is a part of your research learning process. This is something not that you say that, oh, my work is to only do the research work. My work is to only do the data collection part and then submit my report. It is not my work. It should be my guide's work. No, it is your work also, because you are planning that research. You want to do that research. So you have to plan each and every aspect with your guide. Wherever you are not able to understand, you ask your guide. Then you mail us if you are not able to understand. We are there to help you. But keep everything in mind. Okay, and please do read the National Biomedical Ethical Research Guidelines. They are available on the both DHR and ICMR website. Go through it. You will be having a more clear picture. And now coming to the second, some of the terms and conditions, like students ask that, ma'am, do we have to submit the informed consent form? Ma'am, do we have to submit the questionnaire or the case report forms? So yes, if your study, it is applicable to your study, you have to submit the format of each and everything, that to a blank format. We do not need your name and your guide's name in any of these documents also, because these documents, informed consent form format, questionnaire format, case report format, patient information sheet, all these formats will also be sent to the reviewer, the expert, because they will review your whatever, what questions are you going to ask to the patients. They will review that, oh, your study says this, so now in your questionnaire, have you included all those questions to be asked to the patient? So the reviewer expert needs to know what will be your standard questionnaire format. So if it is applicable to your study, you have to submit it to us. It is not that you will only submit the research concept note. If it is applicable, you have to submit your questionnaire, you have to submit your case report format, you have to submit the patient information sheet format. We are asking only for the format, so that the expert who is reviewing your concept note gets an idea that yes, okay, you will be asking this. You have covered all the points. You have not left any points. And if it is anything is needed, they will suggest you. Okay, and we will inform you that suggestion if any suggestion is given. So that is why it's important, if it is applicable to your study, then please do submit the format of all these documents. And please keep in mind that submission of any wrong information document, which is, if it is detected at any stage by DHR ICMR, it will lead to the disqualification of your application. Okay, suppose you change the name and then with a different name and a different email ID, you are submitting another research proposal. Okay, but we will find it out. We have mechanisms to find that out. So your both the proposals will be rejected. So you have to submit and very true to whatever information you are submitting to us. So please do not go for any such thing which will lead to the cancellation of your research proposal. Okay. The last thing that I want to say in terms and conditions, because we receive queries on this also, the studentship is non-transferable. If a student who has been selected by us and is not able to carry the work for some or the other reasons, the reason can be anything. If they have stated that through their guide and through the college, and it will not be transferred to any other student. Okay, the project will be discontinued then and there itself, and it will not be taken ahead because the student will not be submitting an report to us eventually. But it is non-transferable. It will not be transferred because many of the guide, they ask us that my student was not well, and due to some health issues, now he or she is not able to continue the work. So can I do it with some other student? No, the project was of that particular student only. You cannot complete it with anyone else. It was sanctioned to that particular student under your guidance, so it cannot be transferred to any other student if the student is not able to complete it for any reason. But that reason has to be intimated to DHR ICMR well in time, either by the student itself or the guide can even do so. Then coming to the transfer of guide. So in many cases, there are, I think, if suppose we are giving 1500 was till last year, so we are giving 1500 STS awards. So I think at least 200 or 300 are there who say that my guide has been transferred. There are that particular lot of students. So in that case, if your guide is transferred, then you have to take a no objection certificate from your guide, because now that guide will not be able to guide you, because the college has to be same. That was the first condition which I told in the beginning, that the college of the guide and the student has to be same. So now if your guide has been transferred to some other college, you will have to be assigned a new guide from the director, dean, or principal of your college, and you will have to submit that letter to us. You may submit it to us through email also, or you may submit the same at the time of report submission. Whenever the portal is again opened at the time of report submission, final report submission, at that time you have the provision of changing or updating the guide's name. So at that time also you can do that, or in the meantime, if it is done before that and you want to inform us, so there is a designated email given for STS program. So do just send us the letter of the new guide assigned to you by your director, dean, or principal, and there should be a no objection certificate from your previous guide. He should also submit a no objection certificate that yes, I am being transferred and I have no objection in the so and so student to carry out this STS research project under guidance of so and so doctor, whichever is assigned from your college. So two documents are needed in case guide is transferred. First is the NOC from the previous guide. NOC is the no objection certificate, and the letter of assigning a new guide from the director, dean, principal, or whoever is the competent authority of your college. They should assign you a new guide on that area. Okay. So these are some of the brief terms and conditions which I wanted to make you all aware. Coming to the next. Going ahead. So for more detailed information, you may visit the DHR Human Resource Development Scheme. The details of STS programs are written there. And I please encourage you all, each one of you who is wanting to pursue STS program, that please read and understand the guidelines and terms and conditions. They have all your answers. If one reads these guidelines and terms and conditions word by word and understands what has been told, there will be no need to even contacting us anytime. Apart from your scientific queries, which can come related to your proposals and anything, you can contact us. But if you read these guidelines and terms and conditions, and I think 90% of your problems are already solved. You know what is to be done, how it is to be done, the way it is to be done, and what is needed to be done. So please, before proceeding for your registration, even going that, oh, now the call is open, I'll do the registration, I have registered. Please, for registration also, it is mentioned on the call notification. So please read. Okay. So wishing all the best to everyone who is wanting to pursue STS, and thank you for being such good listeners. And in the end, I am open for all questions, whatever queries and questions you still have. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Jinu Khan, for your comprehensive and enlightening session on the application process and successful submission of STS project proposal. Your insights were invaluable and greatly appreciated by all. Now, it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Vikas Thakab, who will be addressing us on the scientific aspect and guidance for productive STS project writing. Dr. Thakab, we look forward to your presentation and the valuable knowledge you share with us. The platform is all yours, sir.
Thank you, Hardika. I'm sharing the screen, and please let me know if it is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
All right, all right. So my task has become easier, and I think I would focus on the scientific aspects as has been discussed. And at the outset, I think I should thank the organizers for giving the opportunity and the generous introduction. So let us go ahead and start the first slide, please. So that part though has been covered, but we know that short-term studentship, which is often the dream of many medical and dental students, offers the research opportunity to both undergraduate MBBS and the dental students. We often think about getting an opportunity wherein we could do research and produce anything worthwhile, anything meaningful. So this is something that we as medical and dental students have been thinking about. So this is the platform that we can look forward to. Now the aim is to make the MBBS and dental students familiar with the research methodologies, the scientific writing, and obviously research ethics. So research ethics is very important, and so are the rest of the aspects. Now, one thing that we can clearly look forward to is that when we get exposed to the platform like the STS right in the beginning, so I think it can pave way for anyone who is planning to become a physician scientist in future, and that is a very important career as of now. Indeed, it was mentioned in the beginning that, several people, maybe who have been guides, they must have applied as a STS fellow in the past. So in 1994, myself also did apply. So that means it's a program of this stature, and obviously it is a very important program, because this program gives students the opportunity to take up something independent in terms of the research project, which can be mentored by the faculties of medical colleges and institutions. So the main point is why research and why STS? So it is, as we have discussed, is the golden opportunity for medical and dental students to learn to be part of conducting research study. And obviously, once the study is completed, then think about writing a scientific paper. Now, generally, we are very good, some of us at least, in completing the research study. But when it comes to publishing a scientific paper, we may face difficulties. So maybe this talk, which will be a brief one, will help you formulate the template wherein you can actually think about how to write a scientific paper. Obviously, it is something that takes workshops to teach somebody how to write a scientific paper, but still we will try to encapsulate some of the very important things that can be kept in mind while we think about writing a scientific paper. So STS basically introduces students to the world of research by giving them hands-on opportunity. And this hands-on opportunity means we learn by doing. Many a times we may have read in our second prof what is research methodologies, study designs, and fallacies of study designs. And we are asked about the short note on, say, cross-sectional studies, case control, the comparative analysis between the case control as well as the cohort, and short note on the clinical trials. But when it comes to doing one, this is where we end up facing difficulties. So the idea of STS is to expose the students onto the practical world, so that we get a fair idea as to how the research is done. And I think it goes without saying that it would enhance the CV of the student and boost their career profile as well. And it can be motivation for medical and dental students to take up the research after graduation. So that format has been, the format of the concept note has been discussed. So the format in which you can prepare the entire report. So I think this is something that we can go in very brief. And you can see that it starts with the title, because title is the face of the research proposal that we are trying to write. And naturally, if the face is bad or ugly, so the interest and rest of the things will become diminished. So the point is that the title has to be written properly, that we will come to. And obviously, once the title is there, then you have to introduce the topic properly with the good review of literature, proper aims and objectives, and detailed material and methods, along with the observations and results. Those observations and results naturally will come once you have finished your study. They are not going to come when you're writing the concept note. So there are three phases. One is the concept note, another is the collection of the data, and then comes the finalization or writing of the report. So I have combined all of them together. But then when you're actually writing the observations as well as results, so you will also write your discussion that we will be coming on to, and you will be concluding that what you have found, and you will provide a summary along with the references as well. So when it comes to the title, before we come on to the introduction, the title should be short. The title should not be very long. There are people who would write paragraphs of the title. Paragraph is not something which is good. So 2-3 lines would be even, a luxury. So maybe about 20-25 words, if you can put something short, which is short, comprehensive, concise, as well as crisp, something that is catchy. We have always been told something which is eye-catching and something that grabs your attention, because in the increasing competition in terms of the publication space, so something that is attractive, something that has been put forward in a manner which actually attracts attention is likely to get more of the views, more of the readings. So your title should not be too long. It should not be too short. So it should be somewhere in between about 20-25 words. And that is a good title. But title should be eye-catchy, as people say, that it should evoke attention, it should evoke interest. But when it comes to introduction to the proposal that you're giving, or maybe introduction of the report that you're writing, there are three things that you consider into an introduction. Firstly, what is already known about the topic? What do you know about the topic? Like if you're writing about uncontrolled diabetes, so what is known about uncontrolled diabetes? What is the frequency? What is the prevalence? Or what is the incidence? And after that, what are the empty spaces? That is, what are the lacunae? What are the implementation gaps? So the implementation gaps, say for example, uncontrolled diabetes is common, and people may not have gotten their blood sugar checked, their HbA1c checked. So this is an implementation gap. And how do you propose to fill? So maybe you will do a cross-sectional study to find out the prevalence, but say finding out prevalence in STS would be a long ask. So, but still, in the context that you are studying, you could perhaps do so. So that means three things in the introduction. Once again, firstly, what is already known, what is the gap, and how do you plan to fill up? So basically, you have to provide the rationale behind what you're doing, because you would want your reader or a reviewer. So I have been a reviewer for STS for several years now. So your reader, your reviewer should understand that this is what you're trying to convey. So you have to actually give the significance of the study and defend the model that you're trying to propose. You are using a particular bacteria or maybe a particular model, say for example, a stroke screening model, a dementia screening model, or a particular system, or the research subject that you're proposing, or a topic that you are actually describing. So whatever it is, you have to defend logically, and that logic has to be, a strong one, along with the advantages. And don't forget to mention that why you're doing, because it's new. So there's no point reinventing the wheel, people say, something that has already been done. Say, for example, if you say that uncontrolled diabetes is common, so we know. Or maybe on the other hand, if you say diabetes, you're trying to find out the risk of diabetes among slum dwellers. So you would say that yes, slum dwellers, we don't know a lot about the risk of diabetes in the slum dwellers. So it may be a relatively new idea. But then, if you say that diabetes among the affluent communities, or maybe people who are well off financially, so this is something that you know already. So something that you know already, don't go into that and think about that, you have to think something which is novel, and what advantages could it possibly have. So the advantage that it would have is that obviously it's a small study that you're doing for 6 months, but it can be a signal generating study. So if it is presented along with proper background information as to, what is that you're trying to say, along with the gap, and how do you plan to plug the gap, then, the introduction will become cohesive, and it should be backed by appropriate references. So one of the important things that people falter upon as students is that they don't do the review of literature properly. So this is something that needs to be done critically, and you need to look at the entire body of research in a critical manner. Now, PubMed, we generally recommend because it is free and it contains 37 million citations, and many of them are full text also, and it is widely available. So why not PubMed? The important thing is that if you are using only PubMed, no, you can actually go to your library, you can pluck out some of the research articles which are there in your hard copy journals. So that can be done. Obviously, you could use some other databases also if you have access to, maybe Embase, maybe PsycInfo, maybe Sunal. So those databases can also be used. But then PubMed being a free website, and it can give you full length also. So it could be something that can be recommended. Now, the important thing is that you have to contextualize what you're trying to study. Like a while back, an example was given, say, for example, oral cancer. You will find innumerable number of results, maybe in lakhs. Oral cancers in India, the number will come down. Oral cancers in India with the, say, for example, a hard tongue or maybe a bleeding ulcer. So oral cancer, India, bleeding ulcer. So the number will come down. If you narrow down your research, the number will come down. And obviously, your idea is to include the most relevant body of research. Now, generally, what people do in ROL is that they actually take up the work done by a lot of people, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then they club together, and then they say that this is the review of literature. The idea is that when you are actually compiling the review of literature, you would say that this is the work that has been done, and this is what I'm planning to do. So your work may be a replica of something that has been done, but it is highly, highly preferable that something that has not been done, something which is novel, something which is feasible, something which is doable in these 6 months that you have, and that too 2 months break that you have in summers. So it is obviously something that you would expect that you will be utilizing your time in the most appropriate manner. So what we say is extract the most important body of literature and extract only the literature which is relevant to the work that you're proposing or the work that you have already done. So don't give an exhaustive list. This is the don't in review of literature, because many times we are tempted that if my review of literature contains 50 references, maybe 60, 70, so mine is good. No, it should contain only the relevant references. Maybe about 300 words is something that's recommended. So that would be about, say, 10 to 15 research articles that you can actually keep. But many times what people do is they go to Harrison, they go to, say, Guyton, or they go to CMDT, and then they, read the information, write it on the piece of paper, and then they type. So textbook information is something that reviewer also knows. So the point, don't include textbook information as a new information or under the garb of a new information. So try to give the latest body of research, the recent references, so that your work becomes a novel work, something that is an improvement over something that already exists. Say, if you are doing something that's already there, say, for example, attention deficit hyperkinetic disorder. So it is diagnosed clinically. So there are a couple of ways in which it can be diagnosed. Like it can be diagnosed using, say, DSM criteria. It can be diagnosed using ICD criteria. So if you say that, I'll be using ICD and I'll be diagnosing the attention deficit hyperkinetic disorder using this criteria, which is, say, not so common in my hospital, it's fine. But then if you describe something which is new, for example, a new method of diagnosis, although it may be out of the blue for the time duration that we have, but still, if you can think that it could be really wonderful. So the proposal that I have reviewed over the past 5 years, I have seen that, many of the medical students, they do have a highly innovative thinking. So it goes without saying that, that innovation is something that we have to keep in mind. So I would say, keep your innovative cap on your head when you think about adding the body of literature. And also, many times what people do is they go to the PubMed and they type the search terms or the keywords or MESH, medical subject heading, and what they eventually do is they actually cut paste the entire abstract and then they paste it. So the moment it is done, it's not something that helps. Say, being an experienced author, I generally get to know that if there is something that has been written very, very neatly, very, very cleanly, so it goes without saying that you have not written it. It's already that has undergone grammatical changes many times. So indeed, this is generally the acid test that we tell to the junior people that if you were to find out somebody who has done copy paste, obviously there is a flag checker. Flag checkers are there everywhere nowadays. But an easy way to find out, if you do not find any grammatical mistakes, if you don't find punctuations or sentence incorrections, it is quite likely that the text that you're actually reading is a cut and paste. So that naturally should not be done. So your aim and objective, they should be clear. You should be giving a broad idea as to what you're doing, but that is your aim. But how you're doing is your objective. So, like for example, if you want to go to A place or B place, that is your aim. You want to go there. But how do you want to go? Maybe by bike, or maybe by bicycle, or maybe by car. So how are you going to do that is something which is your objective. So your objectives, they should not be too many. And objectives should always be specific. They should not be very broad. And they should be in alignment with the title that you are proposing. If your title says something else, your objectives are different. If there is no alignment, it is very likely that the proposal will not get a good review. So your objective should be specific and it should be clear. And you can divide them into primary and secondary. But overall, generally we recommend that objective should not be written in more than 100 words. Because if you write too many objectives, then it is quite likely that those objectives you will not be able to meet in a short span of time. Now, this is something that you need to go into the details. Generally, as a rule of thumb, we say that material and methods, they should be written if it is a proposal, or maybe if it is a report that you are submitting, in a manner which is reproducible. Like for example, there are two friends and there are three people. Generally, the rule of thumb is that suppose if you are the person who has written, your two friends should say, yes, I can read, I can understand, and I can replicate what you have done. Like for example, if we were to be specific, so your document that mentions material and methods could have about 800 words, and you can mention your study design. Is it case control? Is it cohort? So that design should be there. What is the study site? Which medical college are you doing it? Or maybe the community health center, the primary health center. What is the duration of the study? How many number of people you want, subjects? Maybe how many animals you want, how many rats, mice you want. What is your inclusion? When will you say that you will not include the subject? Choice of subjects. How will you choose the subjects? And apart from that, how will you select the control? And how will you take the informed consent? Informed consent in children is different from the informed consent in adults. So that process is as per the biomedical ethics guidelines of ICMR. Now you have to describe the methodology completely. How will you collect the sample? If it is a laboratory study, how will you process? How will you store? At what temperature? And how will you do the analysis? Which machine? What is the sensitivity of that machine? What is the specificity of that machine? What is the make of that machine? That is sometimes very important, because if somebody were to reproduce, like for example, when I did PhD in neurology, so I did my MRI analysis all on the GE machine. So I have to write that those were done on a particular machine, and this was the make, this was the year of making of that machine. So if somebody were to think about repeating those studies, so that is how it could be done. Now, you need not to report the procedure in full. It's not that you will write every detail, but then what could be the standard method? This is something that you can write. And obviously, before you enroll your first subject, that is a rule of thumb. Before you actually start your work, you should have your IEC clearance. So without the IEC clearance, study cannot be started. Now, obviously, the case record form and your informed consent, now they can be uploaded along with the proposal that you are submitting. They are reviewed. So don't actually upload a CRF, the case report form or case record form, which is filled. Patient's name is written, patients or caregivers' signatures are there, parent signatures are there. So that is basically an infringement of the privacy. So you should be able to actually put up a blank form that does not contain the details. Now the results, when it comes, if your project is over and you are into the third phase, that is first C is concept note, and second C is collection, and third is conclusion. So if you have already done your work, so you will have to present your results. Now naturally the results should be presented in a concise manner, and you can use figures and tables. So one of the common problem that we have seen, people make very good graphs, very good tables, very good figures, sometimes very good flowchart also, but they are unable to refer the figure and the tables onto the text. So if they are not referring the figure and table onto the text, so the reviewer becomes confused that where is this table coming from, where is this figure coming from, where does it get attached. So that should be properly referred to, like table 1, table 2, table 3. Wherever you are writing about the results, so there you can write in bracket table 1, table 2, table 3, whatever it is. So the important thing is, many a times, people include the raw data. So raw data without analysis. Like raw data is not required here. So you have to actually give your results. And many a times people say that suppose if your HbA1c after doing the uncontrolled diabetes study, the mean and standard deviation is 8, for example, 8.5 plus minus 2.5. Suppose if this is your HbA1c, so you would say that, a large number of subjects, or on an average, these subjects had uncontrolled diabetes. So under the results, you don't have to write the interpretation. In results, you just mention the results. And if you were to write the interpretation of the findings that you have got, so those findings you will write in discussion. So discussion is different from the results. So results, naturally, they should be concise, they should be comprehensive, they should include all the findings, your positive findings, your negative findings. Now, naturally, many times there is a tendency that you will actually include only the positive results. Please don't do this. So even if your results were negative, even if your results were positive, so positive, negative doesn't matter. Whatever your results were, you actually write your results properly. Now in the discussions, this point becomes all the more relevant, because the results that you have gotten, for example, if you are doing a study of uncontrolled diabetes in a community setting, in a rural setting, where people don't go to, for example, they don't go to the hospitals on time, and they do not seek anti-diabetic treatment properly on time. Even if they do go, their compliance is about 40%. And if you compare this 40% with, say, for example, a CGHS facility, there also compliance could be an issue. So you will have to say that two different sites were taken for this study. One was a hospital-based study, another study or another site was done in the community setting, and a comparison was done. Now, at one site, these were the results, and at other site, the results were same or they were different. Now, the hypothesis that you started with, the research question that you started with, well before your objective, that what did you want to investigate? Now that hypothesis that you started with, now that will come into picture over here. That you expected that you will find a large number of uncontrolled diabetics in community settings. Say, for example, in a community health center, in a semi-rural area. You thought that there will be, but there may not be, because the facilities there may be good, people may be aware, Asha may be very, very proactive, she may be sending messages to all the people, and she may be actually informing everyone that, go and get your blood sugar checked, and people may have had good access to anti-diabetic drugs. So if that be the case, your hypothesis was that you will find a large number of patients with uncontrolled diabetes, but you did not find. Now, what if you did not find? Don't be disappointed. So you write that in the setting that you have chosen, these were the factors that were led to the results that you were getting. So if you were able to explain the results properly, then it makes a clear sense. So the point, the findings, and the significance both should be described properly. Don't just write that the study is inconclusive. You could not produce a result. It's not that you could not produce the result. There were factors. And when you actually go to post-graduation and maybe a PhD level and maybe a post-PhD level, you will learn to control those factors, control those extraneous factors, and then bring the results, which is, a true result. But then in the beginning, as somebody who's learning, so hypothesis, which was stated initially, that should be described here as well. And then you compare your study with the studies done elsewhere. That in my study, the prevalence of uncontrolled diabetes was, say, 20%. But a study done in Kerala, the prevalence was much higher. The study done in Rajasthan was, reporting the prevalence little lower. So even if it is low or high, don't be afraid. Just explain what you found without thinking that what would these results mean. Whatever these results mean, it does not really matter. What matters is that you have actually presented your results the way they were. But there are two things that we would like to say here. One is that what was found in yours, firstly, what was your research question? What was found in the research study that you did? What did other people find? So three things, they should be part of the discussion. But naturally, as we have already discussed, that this discussion part will come if you have finished the third part. If you have finished your report, then only this discussion will come. Otherwise, this discussion will not come. So one of the common mistakes that many students make is they just cut paste the result and they write in discussion that this is my discussion. No, the discussion is that what was your hypothesis? What did you find? What did other studies that were done in different parts of India, did they find? If that is the question, research question that you are following. If your research question was a regional question, say for example, you wanted to find out about the prevalence of uncontrolled diabetes in different districts of Rajasthan. So you will actually focus on Rajasthan or different districts of Uttar Pradesh. You will focus at the district level. You may mention a national study if it has been done, but otherwise you focus on something which is there in your title, in your hypothesis, in your objectives, and then this becomes your discussion. So when you are concluding, your conclusion have to be appropriate. Like for example, if your research question is, what is the prevalence of uncontrolled diabetes in rural area of Rajasthan? You selected maybe one PHC. This as a part, or maybe for 2 months you did a OPD based study. You you did a convenient sampling, and you found about 100 patients who were diabetic during the 2 months period. You did their say blood sugar levels, and if it was feasible to do the HbA1c level at the CHC, you did your HbA1c level also. And if your hypothesis was that you wanted to find out what is the prevalence of the uncontrolled diabetes in the rural setting, and if your conclusion says that the uncontrolled diabetes in urban India is common, so basically this is not what you were studying. So don't write such lines in the conclusion that you are trying to draw. Your conclusions are a direct reflection. Go straight up. That is, go up to your title, and then your research question, name, objectives, and then you narrow down what results did you get, and obviously you can explain the significance of the results along with a simple fact that further research, whether it is needed or it is not needed, whether you have found enough evidence on the subject. So the moot point is, in the small period that you have, but that is a good enough period to learn, you may not be able to do a conclusive research. So that conclusive research on a particular topic is generally done either at a PhD level or a post-PhD level, or maybe a national study, which is a massive study, massive undertaking. So that means the study that you have done will be a signal generating study, and it will open further avenue, and it will open further opportunities for doing further research on the topic that you have chosen. Now, when you're writing a summary, a lot of people write, at leisure, but this is not something that need to be written at leisure. If you were to ask to give a summary, so you write, what was your hypothesis, what research question did you follow, what were your objectives, what model were you following, and what conclusion did you draw. It could be something similar to an abstract that you write for a research article. So it should not be something that actually takes lot of time. Summary generally is about 300 words. As a medical student in 99, as a grad student from AIMS Delhi, I attended Bridget M. Hall's lectures. He was editor of The Lancet those days, and also served on the panel of The Lancet. He used to say that if you cannot summarize your research work in about 250 words or 300 words, it's not perhaps a research work. So that means don't write exhaustive details. If you do write, then people will lose interest in reading everything that you have written. So that part has been dealt with. So Vancouver style. So suppose if I were to write for myself, so I would write the author. That is, say if I am the author, so it would be surname first, .v, and then the article. Say for example, I would write a dementia screening model for detecting dementia in community settings, and the journal is say journal J.RURAL rural PRACT prac dot, and then 2023, and then semicolon, and then the volume number and the page number. I think that part has been dealt with, so I'm foregoing this part. And there are other methods as well, but Vancouver is a quick one, and this is something that's a preferable one. So this is something that I would spend about 2 minutes to 5 minutes, and this is something that many people, they actually struggle while doing the literature search. Now, the important thing is that the work that you are proposing, that is something that is related to something that has been done earlier. Uncontrolled diabetes, for example, diabetes, you will find hundreds, thousands, maybe articles in lakhs. But then if you are trying to find uncontrolled diabetes, if you are trying to find the complications of uncontrolled diabetes, say diabetic retinopathy, diabetic neuropathy, cognitive impairment, dementia, vascular dementia, the Alzheimer's, the association of Alzheimer's with the uncontrolled diabetes. So if you're trying to find something which is novel, so use PubMed. You can use other databases as well. But then, since we have already discussed it's free, so firstly, make a search string. First, make a search strategy. And obviously, this is beyond the scope of discussion that we are having today, because it takes about an hour or two to tell about the search strategy and search strings. But to cut it short, firstly, divide your titles into 3 parts, preferably. And then, in 3 parts, like for example, if you're trying to find out the complications of uncontrolled diabetes in rural India, but India is a very big word. So you say complications of uncontrolled diabetes in rural parts of a block. Name a block, for example, maybe you say, if you say a place which is near Faridabad. So we can say in one block of Faridabad, if you're trying to find out what are the complications of uncontrolled diabetes. So you can divide it into 3 parts. First is your area is uncontrolled diabetes. Second is complications. And third is rural Faridabad, or maybe rural Haryana. So these are the 3 keywords that you have. So put these 3 keywords in the advanced PubMed search. And then for every keyword that you are putting, you will be searching the MESH, that is the medical subject heading. There is a particular database that we have, that is MESH database. For every keyword, you can find MESH, medical subject heading. And then at the end of it, you have to truncate it, you have to quote it, and then put the entire search strategy, which is A, B, and C, into advanced PubMed. And then, you will have the, you can say #1, #2, #3, and then you will end up getting the articles that you are actually interested in. So this is the way a systematic review search is done. This is the way a meta-analysis systematic search is done. So point I'm just trying to make, don't just do a plain PubMed search. Try to do a systematic search that will actually give you the article of your interest. If you can do, if you can learn, the point is where to learn it from. There are a lot of websites that actually tell you, there are a lot of videos that you can get online. There are a lot of workshops that ICMR institutes they actually do, and there are workshops which are done elsewhere as well in many medical colleges and institutions. So you can be a part of one such workshop and attend. And very recently, some workshops have been sanctioned from the Department of Health Research side on systematic reviews. So if you get a chance to attend those, talk to your guide, talk to your faculty, then that could be one of the ways in which you can actually learn the literature search. While you are doing the literature search, you can use the Boolean operator to expand the scope and or not, and that will actually give you more than what you are looking. The important thing is that all submissions, they must be prepared by the students. If it is a concept note and the guide is supposed to give an undertaking, that part has already been covered, that it is an original work. So I thank you very much for the opportunity, and it's been wonderful interacting with you all. So if there are any questions, we would be more than happy, both of us.
Yes, thank you so much, sir and ma'am. So for the question answer round, Ms. Sohani have asked that what all the documents are to be uploaded for research proposal.
For the research proposal, it is only the concept note, and if, as I already told, if it is applicable to your study, it is a questionnaire based study, or it is a case report, or your some patient information has to be sought, then those documents along with your research concept note has to be uploaded. And apart from that, there is this application attestation form which certifies that your college and your guide has approved your research concept note, and they are allowing you to submit the work for the STS program. So these are the things. And at that IEC approval is though not mandatory at the time of application submission, but at the time of report submission, IEC will be made mandatory. And those who are not able to get IEC approval, they will have to prior inform ICMR about whatever so is the reason. Why was it delayed? Why was it not even taken from now in a span of 3 years? Earlier it was only 1 year, so we sometimes considered, but now there is no point of not getting an IEC approval in a span of 3 years. So you have to prepare accordingly, because at the time of report submission, it will be mandatory. As of the application submission, IEC is not mandatory. You can just upload a self undertaking also. That currently I have not submitted for the IEC approvals, and if in case my proposal is selected, so I will be submitting for the required ethical approvals as applicable before starting my work. So your research concept note, then these 3 documents which I told, which if it is applicable to your study, the application attestation form is very much mandatory at the time of proposal submission.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question will be from Bikram sir. Question has been asked by Ms. Lohita and Pala. Only PubMed references are allowed, or they can choose any other references as well?
See, PubMed references will be authentic. That is why we encourage you all to refer to PubMed references, because Google can give some references which can be predatory. They will not be from any ethical sources. The journal can be a predatory one, and the work also cannot be very authentic. So that is why we encouraged you to, and PubMed is of course free. You can just write pubmed.com and you type the whatever work is related you want, type the keywords, and they will give you hell lot of articles. You will not need Google at all. You can also take book referencing. If there are books, so PubMed also has these books. So there are categories on PubMed. If you want review of literature, if you want original research articles, if you want book chapters, or if you want books, or if you want just systematic reviews, any type of whatever type of work or paper you want to search, that is available on PubMed. And Google sometimes will give you predatory journals and predatory work, which is not authentic. Okay, we all know about Google Baba. I should not say anything else. So not everything on Google is authentic. So that's why we encourage to please go for PubMed.
Generally, just want to add on to here. Generally, we say that it is a peer-reviewed article. It is an article which is indexed and indexed preferably in PubMed, and it is free and it is easy to use. So obviously you can use, but having said so, there are articles which are actually indexed in Google Scholar. Not all of them are predatory, but obviously we strongly discourage the use of the predatory journals and predatory publication. So it goes without saying that it should be an article which is indexed in a respectable database.
Thank you, sir and ma'am. Our next question is from Mr. Rishi. I request Deepak sir to answer this. Clinical exposure starts at third year, but this time guidelines excludes them. Please suggest any other projects in which they can enroll.
I think Dr. Jinu has already told about the third year, so since it is under consideration, it has not actually come up. So till it becomes approved and it is there in public domain, so we would not say about that. But having said so, clinical exposure and research knowledge regarding the clinical exposure, it depends now. Your community medicine starts earlier on, and you start going in your clinics from your third year onwards. So till then, till something comes up. So keep your thinking cap on. Think about a topic. Talk to your guide, and discuss extensively what's new. Guides have their expertise in a particular area, so they will keep an update on the area where they had done their MD or PhD. So, or maybe both. So talk to them, and they will be able to tell you, what are the upcoming areas, emerging areas. Regarding the choice of an area, when I was a MD student, my guide told me that choose an area which is relevant for another 20 years, maybe another 30 years. So choose an area which you will do in your STS, maybe in your MD, maybe in your PhD, and maybe for rest of your life. So it depends upon a lot of things. But having said so, as far as the STS third year is concerned, so that question has already been answered.
And it is not like that if only in third year you are exposed to the clinical subjects, so you cannot do any research work before that. It is not like that. You have subjects in your first year, second year, and you can choose wisely. And obviously you, by the end of the first year and coming into the second year, you are more aware of things as a fresher which you were not aware, and while learning is a gradual process. So I think that is not a big issue that only in third year you come across the clinical subjects and what to do in the first and second years.
Obviously, just to add on to this, you have anatomy, physiology, biochemistry in the first
Yes,
year.
correct.
Second year, you have pharmacology, microbiology, forensic
And
medicine.
STS is not setting a mandatory or a check like that you have to take only clinical subjects. There is no such criteria for STS. We have not restricted it to only clinical subjects. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Next question is from Mr. Pranshu and Dr. Tir Patel. I request Dr. Jinu ma'am to answer this. Can students expect an extension in the deadline?
No, there will be no extension for the first and second year for which the call is currently open. That is until 30th June, strictly as notified on the DHR website. If the call is open, that will open only for third year students that I told. That will be a separate call only for the third prof students, and that will be for 1 month. From whichever dates it is notified, that will be for complete 1 month. But this call, which is currently open for the first prof and second prof for STS 2024, that will be only, as of now, the deadline is still the same, 30th June. And please do
Thank
not,
you, ma'am.
I also request those who all are there in the today webinar and I have also applied or are thinking to apply, please do not wait for the last date, because on the last date the website and the server is in extreme pressure under technical changes and defaults and errors, and you will also be having a problem and we'll also be having a problem. Though on that last day, every technical team is there to address whatever queries are there within the deadline and the timeline, but still I request you all to please do not wait for the last date.
Thank you, ma'am. My next question is being asked by Miss Sindhu. I request Deepak sir to answer this. Do cross-sectional studies consider inferior to the interventional studies for the ICMR project?
Not just for ICMR. I would say, Ms. Sindhu, cross-sectional studies, they cannot be compared with interventional studies. But having
They are
said so,
altogether a different study group
they are altogether a different study group.
category.
But then, when you say you're doing a cross-sectional study, so you should have a clear hypothesis, why do you want to do, and in the time frame that you have, you should be able to do. But when it comes to interventional study, especially a clinical trial, so this is something that's not considered under the STS. So because doing a clinical trial is a task in itself, even if an open label trial is done, so it is done through a rigorous process, and there are lots of check and balances. You don't have that kind of a time, that kind of
Yeah,
time.
it is only a short-term project. Clinical trials are not permitted in STS.
So it goes without saying that cross-sectional studies, I would not say they are inferior or superior, but then when it comes to the hierarchy of evidence, if you see, so on the top you have meta-analysis, then you have systematic review, then you have randomized control trial, and then you have the clinical trial, which are non-randomized, and then you have the cohort studies, and further lower down you have the case control studies, and then comes the cross-sectional. So if you were to use this term in that colloquial sense, I would say it is inferior. But then nothing is inferior or superior, but it depends on the research question that you are actually asking.
Yes, you should be well designed research hypothesis, objective, and what is the outcome that is going to come from your study. That matters, and how well it is written.
Our next question is from Mr. Tushar. I request Gino ma'am to answer this. Final version of ethical committee approval letter, is it available, ma'am? Is there any format for the same?
No, all ethics committee have their own format, specific format for these institutions. So there is no ICMR does or DHR does not have any ethics format. Your institution will itself give you approval on their recognized or designated format of ethics certificate, and that itself you have to just submit to us.
Just adding to that question only, ma'am, informed consent form is also available or there or something?
No. Informed consent, case report, questionnaire, or patient information sheet. That is as per the student's study, applicable to the student's study. Whatever is the study, you have to design these documents according to it. ICMR has no, because you cannot have a specific format for these documents, because every study it will become variable. There will be different parameters, there will be different variables, there will be different questions. So you cannot have one designated format for such documents. It will be applicable as per your study itself and what are the objectives.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. My next question is being asked by Dr. Sarit, and I request Deepak sir to answer this. He states that my study has healthy subjects. What is required to be submitted in case sheets?
Yes. Can you repeat the
Can you
question?
repeat? Yeah, we're not able to
Yeah,
hear it.
he says that his study includes healthy subjects only.
Okay.
What he has to mention in case sheets?
Yes, The studies can be done on healthy subjects. Say, for example, all pharmacokinetic trials, you can say phase 1 trials, they are done in healthy subjects. Very few studies, although, are done in healthy subjects. So you will consider healthy subjects as cases, quote unquote, as cases, although they are not the cases. But for you, they are the research subjects. They are the subjects on which you are doing the research. So you will have to follow the same rigorous process that you are doing to do any other study that you would be doing elsewhere. So you will actually make a case record form. So case would mean your case is basically a healthy subject. You will take the informed consent in the same way as you would take, and it is very important because the people, the research subject that you have included over here, they are healthy, so they should be right there. You should follow the same process of the research as it is done elsewhere.
Thank you, sir. There is a question. Mr. Hassan Raza said, if I upload a questionnaire, can I change it after 30 June?
No, there will be no document change allowed after 30th June, because there is a process we follow also. After that, we immediately start the scrutiny and the review process. So if we allow these changes, then this will just continue. So after the deadline, no changes allowed. If within the deadline you have recalled, like a student has made the final submission, now the student recalls that, oh, I uploaded a wrong questionnaire, or I uploaded something, a research concept in which methodology was missing, I uploaded the incorrect file. For that, you can send us an email, and if it is within the deadline, we will consider it, considering it a genuine reason why you are selling. But after the deadline, nothing is allowed, no change is allowed.
Okay, ma'am. My next question is being asked by Dr. Hassan. Does ICMR provide any reason for rejection of proposal?
So, as of now, we are not providing any reason for request, because there are approximately 8 to 10,000 proposals that we receive every year for STS, and only 1,500 and 2,000. As of now, it is 2,000. So 2,000 are selected. So it is a very difficult and tedious task to reply to all those remaining 6,000 and 8,000, telling them the reason for rejection. However, if any student approaches us through email asking that why was my proposal or report not selected, then that we might consider. But we are surely taking something into plan on how to uh, inform the reason of rejection on the proposals to all those 6,000, 8,000 students who had applied, because it will surely impact more betterment and more, you can reform your uh, proposal in a much better way if you are applying for the next time. So we will surely come out of a way, and it will be notified on the website itself.
Okay, ma'am. So this will be the last question, and it has been asked by three people. So their IEC clearance is taking time. So what they need to upload in that?
That is what I'm telling you. At the time of proposal, it is not required. You can simply upload an undertaking that I have still not applied for the IEC, and I will apply if I'm selected, and I will submit it before at the time of my report submission. But if by the time of report submission also you are not able to get your IEC approvals, then please, in the second year itself, do inform us through your guide that your IEC approvals are taking time, or the committee is not meeting, or there is some issue, whatever is the issue, for whatever reasons your IEC is being delayed, please inform DHR ICMR in prior, in advance. Do not, like, at the time when there is a last date for the report submission, then you are telling us and sending us email that ma'am, I am not able to get my IEC approval, so what should I do now? We'll not be able to help you in that case when the deadline is already approached. So you will have to tell us in prior, at least. And I, in this case, now when the timelines have been spread over 3 years, so I would tell you all to please tell us by the end of second year itself if you are facing any problems in getting the IEC approvals, or it is being delayed, or you will not, or you are thinking that you will not be able to get it before the third year. Then please do inform us, because if you inform us, then we take it into consideration that okay, this particular college is having, and all the students of this college are sending the email. So there is some issue, then we might contact your college and ask what is the issue or something like that, and or maybe not consider for your particular college. But if you don't inform us, then we will not be able to help. So you'll have to inform to us in prior if there is any delay regarding that.
Okay, ma'am. There are some more questions. Can we add the name of the institutions where the research being carried out in the methodology and consent form?
No, you can just write the district name. I think that would be enough. Like suppose you are from Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, okay, medical college and LHMC or wherever you are. So you just write the name of the district, okay, Delhi or so or whatever is the district name. There is no specifically need to write the name that you will be doing it in Lady Hardinge OPD, you will be doing it in AIMS New Delhi OPD, or you will be going to so and so. You just write the name of the district, that is enough, because once you write the name of the college, then the identified information is already there. The reviewer knows that this proposal is from this particular college. Okay.
Just a small add-on to the earlier discussion that students who have not yet taken their ethics approval till the end of the study, as in at the time of report submission. So that is sort of catastrophic because the study has been done without the ethics approval being done. So it is highly recommended that you take your IEC approval in your second year itself after your concept note is approved and you have started your data collection. So the rule of thumb, as we have discussed, is before you enroll your first participant, before you take your first blood sample, before you actually touch your first animal, your IEC approval should have been done.
Should be in your
And
hand.
since there are 3 years that you have, so you have now a lot of time. And I think in
Yes.
3 years, your IEC should have met. And even if it has not happened, your guide should be able to request the member secretary of IEC. Like I have
Which
been a
we did
member
that.
secretary of IEC for 5 years. So we used to give special, sort of attention to the medical students, to the MSc students, to the PhD students. Their work is urgent in terms of the nature of the work being time bound. It's not that other work is not urgent or is not time bound, but there something that needs to be submitted in a highly time bound manner, in a highly time sensitive manner, needs to be given preference.
Yes, correct. So as soon as you are selected, please just be after your guide. That what about if your study IEC is applicable, be after him. That's how do we proceed for the IEC approvals?
That will come to the end of the question and answer round. Uh, I request Pritesh to please proceed with the formal vote of thanks.
Yes, sir.
Pritesh,
We
there
would.
is one more important question, which I think Jeenu ma'am can answer. There is Dr. Tarun Saxena, who has asked, what if our guide left the college during the 3-year tenure in between? I believe the student wants to know how to change the guide if the guide leaves the college.
I've already answered that you will have to, your director, principal, dean, whosoever is the highest competent authority, they have to assign you a new guide from your college, and you will have to obtain a no objection certificate from your previous guide. So both these documents, you can send it to us through email whenever you take the approvals, or you can even update the guide details at the time of final report submission.
Actually, I skipped few questions which are already been answered in the session.
If there are very few questions, then you can take up. If there are 2, 3 or so,
Actually, the chat box is full with questions. Students are
you
really
can actually,
intrigued.
you can actually even mail us. You can prepare those FAQs type, that whatever questions were asked in the webinar, and just mail to us. I'll reply to all of those queries, because it is not possible that in this webinar itself we can answer all the queries, but you can just compile all the queries which we have received today in the webinar, and I'll be happy to answer them through email, and then you can communicate to them.
We'll definitely do that, ma'am, by the side of MSN. This webinar is already been spread for 2 hours. I think, Pritesh, we can now proceed with the vote of thanks.
Yes, sir. We would like to express our heartfelt thanks to our speaker, Dr. Vikas Dikav sir and Jinu Suhail Khan ma'am, on behalf of the organizing committee for sharing their expertise and knowledge with us. We would like to thank the pillars of the podcast, Dr. R.V. Ashokan sir, National President IMA, Dr. Anil Nayak sir, Honorary Secretary General IMA, Dr. Shitish Bali sir, Honorary Finance Secretary IMA, Dr. Shalabh Gupta sir, National Chairman IMA MSN, Dr. Akshay Yadav sir, National Convener Standing Committee IMA MSN, Dr. Ajit Bantal sir, National Convener IMA MSN, Muskan Somani ma'am, General Secretary IMA MSN, the entire National Council and members of the Research Subcommittee, our digital partner Clarinet, and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. This podcast would not have been possible without the support and hard work of all. I once again thank everyone for attending this meet. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I personally would like to extend a very warm thanks to our both honorable speakers, Dr. Vikas sir and Dr. Jinu ma'am, for taking out their precious time and sharing this most important topic concerned to research. Because whenever we talk about research in UG category, there is first project we come in mind is STS. So there are so many peculiarities which students are not very much aware of. Even I was not even aware of these peculiarities. So I thank you on behalf of whole MSN family for taking out your time and making such an innovational and such an informative PPTs. So thank you so much, sir and ma'am, on behalf of IMA
Thank
MSN.
you, Dr. Arijit. Thank you so much. And I would also like to say that DHR ICMR also funds many workshops on clinical research and translational research. And some of those workshops are also specifically on research methodology for the UG and PG medical students. So I'll be happy if we come across any such workshops and it is being approved and funded by DHR ICMR. That then I can also send you all a link, and maybe all those students who are associated with IMASN, they can surely join those workshops as participants, because they will get a very clear picture about what research methodology is this, and it will be helpful in the STS program.
Thank you so much, sir and ma'am.
Thank you, Arijit. I think it was wonderful, and it was naturally something which was required, and there are 6 days still left. So 30th June is approaching. So I think we should gear up and do the submission. So that is the most important part which is left. Although 6 days are not 6 days are not much, but still, let's try our level best and be a part of this very important initiative.
Because I know many of the students, they'll be applying on the last day itself.
I know,
Because
don't
it
get
is
the
a
last
trend
day.
in trend which I'm seeing for the past 6 to 7 years. They log in the last day itself, no matter the portal is open for 2 months or 3 months, because earlier the portal used to be open for 1.5 months. Now it is 30 days. But please, I encourage you all. I know that you all are very busy with your curriculum, your studies, and everything, but please do not wait for the last date. I encourage whosoever is today present in this webinar, please pass it on to your friends also, your classmates also, whosoever is applying for STS. Thank you so much. Thank you for making me a part of this webinar. It was wonderful interacting with all of you.
Ms. Rupsa, you can end the meeting now.